Hi, it's Mike from ReplicaAirguns.com, and I'm still fighting this cold, but today I have a bit of a treat for you. This is the Mini UZI blowback, and some websites refer to it as a full metal, but as you'll see shortly, it's not actually all full metal. There's a lot of metal in this product, but it's not full metal. Still a great gun, so we'll go over some of the parts, and I'll show you what parts are metal and what parts are plastic. So of course you get a nice boxed version. Got a few different manuals and pamphlets here, some instructions on how to use this Cybergun product. Alright, so get a few tools. This is the Allen key, and it's like the other Cybergun products like the GSG92 and the Sig Sauer that I have. You actually have this extra magazine screw here, and I don't even know what this piece is, to be honest. I haven't figured this one out yet. So we'll put that aside. Of course, you get the full metal magazine, which is nice. It's full metal, and it even has the little markings on it as if you had 9mm rounds in here. That's where they'd line up with. And so we'll put that aside. And of course, your CO2 goes in here in the bottom, and you can see your BBs going in here. There's 25 BBs. You load them from the top. I have no fingernails, so you load them from the top, put them in here, and up to 25 BBs go in this magazine. You get a nice box of BBs, and these are silver BBs. I prefer the silver BBs because they tend to leave less corrosion in your gun. Sometimes the copper BBs can corrode a bit. And of course, you get the Mini UZI. So before I zoom in and whatnot, I want to just quickly show you some size comparisons. So let's take a look. I have this Mini UZI here. This is actually a airsoft gun. This will give you an idea of the size comparison of the two. The Mini UZI is definitely a little smaller, longer magazine, but a smaller gun. Now this other gun's not really going to fit in the picture, but we'll just kind of bring it in sort of for comparison. And this is my MP5. This is an Umarex product, and you can see that the Mini UZI is quite a bit smaller. But they're sort of similar type weapons. I wanted to bring them in to show you. Let's pull this around. Okay, so now I just want to show you with the stock open. And this is a nice metal stock. It's full metal. And I'll go over some of the parts a little bit more in a bit here. But full metal stock, and it just sort of snaps into place, easily snaps back and forth. It's quite easy to do. So let's quickly go over some of the specifications of this gun. It's a 4.5mm or .177 caliber BB gun. It is blowback driven, and it holds 25 rounds in the magazine. Gets approximately 350 feet per second. There's a lot of metal on this gun. It's really a very accurate and realistic replica of the original, including many of the markings, and I just want to show you some of the markings here. Like on a real Uzi, you'll have similar markings on the back here, same type of selector switch. I don't know if you can see it too much, but there's similar markings right here, the up, down, and even on the back. I mean, it's beautiful right here. You have similar markings to what you'd find on a real Uzi. So let's go over some of the metal parts. Okay, so what's metal and what's plastic? This top piece right here is all metal, and this piece basically comes off. You can get at the actual bolts and the action in there. So this whole top piece is metal. Underneath it there's an interior chassis, which basically you can see extends out the front, and this is all metal here. The actual iron sights right here is metal. The rear iron sight is all metal. All this area in here is all metal. This portion right here where the stock goes onto is all metal. So in behind here is all metal. It's just that you can kind of see there's a little bit of an actual outer shell that goes around the gun. So inside the gun is metal. This little outer shell that basically is right here. Of course, the handles are plastic, but all this outer shell, including this lower part and the trigger guard, is plastic. So, you know, really, when you look at the gun, yes, you see plastic on it, but most of the inner workings are metal, which is nice. The gun's very heavy. With the magazine in it, it's about almost 5 pounds, so it's a very heavy gun. The trigger is metal. Like I said, like these pins here are metal. you know, a lot of the stuff, the stock, the folding stock is metal. The barrel, there's an interior barrel, it's metal as well. It's just some of the exterior parts, and my opinion on that, I'll give you my opinion. What I found with metal parts is they tend to scratch really easily, and you know, they're generally not, these guns made you know, in China and Taiwan, are the paint doesn't tend to be on there really good, so they do scratch up pretty quickly. And when you're dealing with plastic parts, you know, they'll scratch, but you don't see it as significantly. There'll just be a little mark that you might see on it, but it won't be all silver. The paint doesn't rub off because it's basically black throughout the whole plastic. So you really have to do something pretty hard to make a noticeable scratch in the plastic. Oh yeah, well, you know, you could break pieces off a little easier, but from what I've seen, there's a company that's actually going to be making replacement parts in metal for this outer shell. Now what I want to do is I want to show you a couple targets that I shot at, and the first one I'll show you. This first one I shot off at just in single semi-auto mode, and I got pretty good grouping. Now I was aiming for here, but these are like a peep sight, so I've never really used peep sights very much, and so I was shooting a little bit high. It took me a little bit of practice to figure it out, but I was shooting high, and I just shot off 10 rounds here. There's actually 9 holes, so I may have only shot 9, or I'm not sure, maybe there was a duplicate hole, but I counted 9. But you can see here the grouping's pretty nice. It's about maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and this was at 20 feet. And then I fired off the rest of the magazine in full auto, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. Here is my full auto target. It might be a little hard to see, but I sort of got the zone in with the peep targets a bit better, and I shot almost the full magazine. It just got a little bit dry at the end there, and I didn't do off the last 5 rounds. But you can see here, it's about a 2.5 inch grouping at full auto, and I didn't do full auto. I just did like maybe 3 bursts, and that was it for the magazine. But I have fired. That was my second magazine with the CO2 cartridge, and I pretty much got all the way through it. I had also dry fired the gun a few times, so I know you can get 2 magazines. So 25 plus 25, 50 rounds out of 1 CO2 cartridge, especially if you're shooting some semi-auto and some full auto rounds at the same time. So getting into the semi-auto and the full auto, what's the deal with that? Well, the deal is when you buy this gun, you can only, this is safe mode, and this is basically semi-auto, and then you can try as hard as you like, but you just can't get it over to this A, which is automatic, I guess it stands for. But hey, look at that. So how come I can do that? Well, the reason for that is that they've disabled that feature, probably for Canadian laws and importation laws or who knows what, and they've disabled that by essentially putting a little plastic nub inside the gun that stops your selector from going from semi-auto to full auto. So once you remove that nub, and it's fairly easy to do, and I will post a video on that. I just took some pictures. It's not going to be a video. I will do a video narrative with some pictures of how to do it, but it's fairly easy to do. It took me maybe 15 minutes to do. Most of the time I spent figuring out which pin I needed to take out to get this lower part off, which is, by the way, this pin. You take this one out, pinch that with some pliers, pop it out, and this whole lower portion comes off, and then you can get at that little piece of plastic that you need to remove. So anyways, that's a whole other video review. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything here. It's quite a nice gun. It's blowback action, and right now it's in, oh yeah, one other thing, this metal part here allows you to, it's like a safety. It's kind of like almost like a 1911 safety. You have to have this pushed in to fire off. So let me show you again. Not going to fire. Push that in, fire. And the kick on this gun is kind of ridiculous, to say the least. It's when you first fire this gun, especially on a full CO2 cartridge, it's pretty shocking, the kick. You can feel it in your shoulder, especially full auto, man. It's really fun. I would say it even has more recoil than a 22 rimfire cartridge does. Not as much as a 9mm. 9mm will push you back more. This will just kind of bumps back and forth a little bit more, because it's basically this bolt, this heavy bolt in here is moving back and forth. It has a lot of mass, and that's what's giving you the recoil feel. So anyways, it's really not too bad on CO2. I haven't chronoed it. I don't have a chrono. One day I will get one, but people are saying it pretty much gets around 350 feet per second as advertised. That's really not bad for a blowback gun of this type. I'm very impressed with this gun, and the next review I do will probably be the full auto mod instructions, and then after that, when the weather warms up a little bit, I will do a shooting review, and I'll probably knock down some cans with this gun, as it's pretty accurate in full auto mode. I also took advantage of some more high-speed video using my Casio camera, and so take a look at these slow-mo shots of the bolt in semi-auto action. Thanks again for watching another video from ReplicaAirguns.com, and don't forget to check out the site. I have written articles about all my products, and sometimes I go into other details on them. So, till next time, take care.